Chapter 34 Familiar Faces. When last met, Nixie was sat across Isk in his office, the two alone, and she pressed him on the details about her blessing. Isk explained how it was part of her very being, something woven into her, while Kaun's was bestowed to him, likely at his clutching. To him, this was a sign that a parent of hers likely was a spirit of Hewlett, with his best guess being Storgia. To both, this was not much of a surprise. Isk knew Storgia copulated with mortals they found a bond with, even after their ascension. And Nixie always had a feeling at least one of her parents was more than just mortal. Unlike her sister Rose, who had to train her magic in circles, Nixie had always had ease with controlling magic, and she already noticed her magic most easily manifested in ways aligning with Storgia. Additionally, when she turned 18, she made a trip to where she was born, Hewlett's Bloom, a lake just south of the Circle. There, in the lake, she found a bracelet wreathed with divine energy, something she took as a gift from her ascendant parent. Nixie thanked Isk for affirming her suspicions, then excused herself to find the menagerie, who were just leaving Headmaster Aurelia's office. With no pressing issues, they agreed it was a good time to leave the Circle to explore Murad. Nixie wanted to explore Hewlett's Bloom again, to hopefully find anything more about Storgia, and the menagerie wanted to explore where Nixie first found Perkring to hopefully find his parents. This meant the best travel seemed to be crossing Hewlett's Bloom to Bodevere, but before the menagerie could go, Leste wanted to say some farewells. First, they visited Headmaster SRS, announcing their departure and asking if there were any draconic history sites they could visit, but even she knew of none. It had been long since dragons inhabited Amaranthine, so their influences faded to mere legend outside of Valhira, something that saddened Leste. After thanking her and her people for their hospitality, the menagerie went to the Bulwark, where Leste announced their departure, and asked what he would do now. With the celebrations done, he had to return home. Leste and Kaun warmly thanked him for making the trip. Then, she quietly asked why she had heard the Living Law's forces disappeared from public view. All he could say was that Branka heard of something needing to be dealt with, in private. Disappointed in, but understanding the reason for secrecy, the menagerie thanked him for his time, and headed off to leave the Circle. On their way out, the sounds of cheers heralded their departure as Kaun flew above to encourage the crowd. They continued their journey to Hewlett's Bloom, taking only a day's travel to get there, filling the time by pestering Joker about his ex. Ever since he had gotten to Murad, he exuded anxiety at the thought of her, so the menagerie wanted to know what to expect of her. He only divulged that she was a half-elven guard captain, and despite the party's best efforts in assuring him everything would be fine, he was still fearful of meeting her. Right before sunset, the menagerie arrived on the eastern coast of Hewlett's Bloom. Simple rowboats were set up to allow passage from east to west, but the party decided to rest the night on the beach, then travel in the morning. As camp was being set up, Leste gave Kaun permission to explore the lake, and he eagerly entered the water. Once he submerged, his body took to the movements of the waves just as naturally as they took to the sky. He dived deep into the bed of the lake, finding countless crustaceans looking in awe and fear at an apex predator returning after an 8,000-year disappearance. As some scurried away, he gave chase, getting a meal and entertainment out of this. Once the camp was set up, Perkring looked out at the lake, concerned Kaun could be in danger as he had been under the water for quite some time. Perkring took a step into the lake and was met with a bitter cold, so he quickly raced back to the fire, assuring himself Kaun was fine. Leste assured him as well that Kaun was safe. Kaun's mother was a force of nature underwater, and if Kaun was anything remotely like her, there would be no troubles for him. Nixie chimed up as well. Being familiar with this lake, she knew Kaun was the only true predator in that lake. This reassurance was confirmed when some more time had passed and Kaun exited it, completely exhausted with a large fish in his mouth. Without a word, he headed right to Leste, who happily opened his bag for him as he headed in for the warmth. Towards the end of the night, Nixie prepared some tea and everyone sat by the fire. While everyone was lounging around, Leste spotted a small bird approach the fire. As it got closer into view, she realized it was a paper crane flying to her. It landed on her lap, then unfolded into a note, in an almost childlike tone. The letter went on about how someone Leste knew saw her and Domitanis at Cowan's reveal. They wanted Domitanis to meet up with their friend in Bodavir, a tall, gray, and blind-looking furbolg. As Leste told Domitanis of this, they became extremely interested in this meetup, as that furbolg could be one of the only friends they made in Rival. No one had an issue with this meetup, so after exploring Culid's Bloom tomorrow, they agreed to look through Bodavir for Domitanis' potential friend. All then took their rest on the beach, and awoke to Perkring's call like usual. While everyone was getting breakfast and tearing down camp, Cowan returned to the lake to get breakfast of his own, and after a short time, everyone else followed him, either by boat, broom, bird, or swimming. Nixie led the way, and after a very short travel, she returned to where she found the amulet on her 18th birthday. She swam around to the undisturbed ocean bed, and only found one detail she missed last time: a nest large enough for a human. She assumed this was where she was actually born, that there was nothing here for her, nothing to find, and no one to talk to. So she returned to the surface where the rest of the menagerie was waiting for her, and they pressed on to Bodavir. As the city came into a clear view, everyone noticed a crowd collecting at the docks. Presumably, word traveled from the circle that Cowan was going to Bodavir, so as soon as the menagerie docked, people swarmed to see the dragon. Leste, Maka, and Nixie stayed here with Cowan, while Domitanis, Joker, Perkring, and Sonora started to wander to find Domitanis' friend. Very quickly into the search, Domitanis spotted a familiar furbolg at the docks, so they followed them through the trees to a medical hut. As they entered, a chime rang, followed by a voice familiar to Domitanis in the other room greeting them, and a small pygmy dragon came from where the voice was. This was a rare sight outside of Valhira, but not unheard of in Murad. After seeing Domitanis, it went back to where it came from and began yipping at the voice to move. The figure in the other room followed, and Domitanis was greeted by a friend, Perseus. The furbolg quickly approached Domitanis and hugged them, shocking Domitanis, but the embrace was quickly welcomed. Domitanis wanted him to meet the rest of the menagerie, so they quickly went back to the docks where the rest of them were, with the crowd dying down. After a quick introduction, Perseus let Domitanis know they had been looking into the blood magic from Rival that affected them, and they had been developing medicine to hopefully stabilize it. The only thing they would need from Domitanis was a blood sample, which they were happy to give once Perseus was ready. He needed to get something set up, so he returned to his medical hut. While he did that, the menagerie realized they were down a few members. Perkring and Joker were nowhere to be seen, and at the same time, an announcement was made that the guard captains were returning from an expedition. Leste wanted Cowan to meet them, but first they needed to find where the others ran off to. Perkring was easy enough to find, he was just wandering the docks looking for shiny things to collect, but Joker wasn't with him. With that, let us continue.